Good evening, and welcome to another World of Warships video with Captain Darkwing Glacier. In this battle, I'm taking out my Tier 9 premium Japanese battleship, the Musashi. The Musashi is available from Wargaming for 750,000 free experience, which is pretty steep, and it is identical in cost to the Missouri, which is no longer for sale. And I have to say that I had to think a little bit before I purchased the Musashi. When it came to the Missouri, it was a complete no-brainer. I purchased it as soon as I had the XP, and I was in a rush to collect all that XP and earn it before the Missouri went off sale. However, the Musashi I was a little less excited about. That's because the Tier 10 Yamato is, in all respects, supposedly better than the Musashi. And the Musashi has been described as just a weaker, one tier lower Yamato. The AA is less powerful because the Musashi has different secondary batteries. It has two triple 6-inch turrets on either side, and the primary difference is that the main gun accuracy is less than that of the Yamato. So one would think, well, if I can just grind to get the Yamato, why would I ever want to get the Musashi? Well, for collectors, it's obvious. They just want to collect all the ships they can. But for someone like me, why don't I just grind all the way to the Yamato? Well, I still have a long way to go to get to the Yamato. I'm actually only at Tier 5 in grinding out the battleships for Japan. So I decided, once I had enough XP, that I would just go ahead and get the Musashi and have fun with it. So far I have not regretted it. It has been a lot of fun. The guns are very impressive, and I have deleted many a ship from long range. Of course, at the same time, in extreme long range, I frequently find that my shells tend to scatter around the target. But one thing I have learned is that even though guns may be described as inaccurate compared to that of another ship, that doesn't mean that they're always going to be inaccurate. Very often you fire a good shot and you have RNG is smiling upon you and you nail that enemy ship. So even if guns are described as inaccurate, that doesn't mean you cannot respect them, because I've been deleted many a times by things like the Grosse Kurfürst or a Friedrich de Grosse or a Bismarck from long range when they take a shot at me, and that one time their shells have a very low dispersion and they take me out. The same is true for the Musashi. I have been able to take out multiple enemy ships from long range because when I do fire, those shells still are pretty good. And when they do hit, they do lots of damage. So, in this battle, on our left flank, we have 4 battleships. There's me and the Musashi, there's a Bismarck, there's an Iowa, and there's a Tirpitz, who at least looks like he's AFK to start off the game. But we also have a Haida destroyer for our scout, who is studiously avoiding the cap and avoiding scouting for us. And we have 2 cruisers, an Indianapolis and a New Orleans. Now, as what happens with cruisers often is that as soon as they get detected and come under fire, they turn away from the cap and basically start running, and then the battleships start to follow suit when they come under fire, and it becomes a stalemate at the cap. And as both sides just kind of hang back and snipe at each other in hopes of taking one of them out. So here's the enemy Neptune, who is backing up and has unwisely exposed himself to my broadside, and I am able to take him out in one shot, delivering 2 citadels to him. And it's at this point where I decide, I'm pushing A. You guys have to support me if we're going to succeed here, because I know I'm going to have to tank a heck of a lot of damage from them. But the thing is that they have the Gajimata, they have a Seattle, they have a Richelieu, a Friedrich de Grosse, and it looks like a Miyoko. So here I tank a torpedo that I quickly repair. The thing is that they have several ships, but we have more ships. There is no reason that we should be hanging back. We should be pushing into this cap, and they ought to be scared, and they will turn around and run away, as long as we are aggressive enough. Now, in many situations, people will see this and know Battleship wants to be the guy who has to do all the tanking for very little reward, so everyone hangs back and we end up losing the cap and ceding them the advantage. But this time I just said, screw that. I'm going in there, and hopefully if I lead, other people will follow. So I'm very low on health now. I'm at about 20%. My repair party, or sorry, my damage control is still about 40 seconds to go. I'm on fire. My heal is getting close to being ready, so I kick off the repair party, and I'm now starting to build my health back. The Frederick the Great here is showing me lots of broadside, so maybe I could do some severe damage to him. And I do a little bit, 5 penetrating hits, but not nearly as much damage as I was hoping for. That's probably due to the turtleback armor of the Frederick the Great. But as you can see, we have succeeded in our mission here. We have driven them away. All the ships on that side are in retreat. The Richelieu is backing up, as Richelieus tend to do. The Frederick the Great is running at full speed. The Seattle is trying to hide behind some islands up there, but he is definitely also in retreat. And the Miyoko is, I believe, in not a very good situation either. And finally, my battleships are starting to push up. The Bismarck is here. The Tirpitz, who has finally showed up, is now pushing into the cap. The Iowa is still hanging back, but it looks like he's moving forward as well. The Haida is getting a very wide flank, so I'm not really sure what he's up to. So finally I go undetected. I'm in full reverse at this point. I'm still taking a little bit of damage, praying that I don't get set on fire again, because it's 1 minute and 20 seconds before my repair will come back, and I'm almost out of this heal. But I've succeeded in my mission. I have pushed into the cap. I led the way. I'm now undetected, so I can focus on healing up, and my team is pushing through the cap. Now, if we take a quick look at the scoreboard, we're at 660 points to their 250, so this is excellent. We have a 400-point lead. They are down 6 ships to our 1. So this is something I'm going to keep reiterating, is that we had an advantage on this flank. There was no reason for us to hang back. The fact that we were aggressive pushed the enemy team out and made them run away. I mean, even though at the initial clash, some of our ships started to turn away and become defensive, the fact that I pushed forward, you know, I led, the rest of the team followed, at least on this flank. And as you can see on the other flank as well, we have taken the decap as well. So clearly they were aggressive on that side, and that's how you can win games. If you just sit back and snipe and no one is willing to make the move, then you cede the initiative to the enemy. If you take the initiative, you push as a team, you tank what you have to tank, because that's what battleships are built for, then you can cause some severe damage. Now at this point, my first thought was to push ahead and follow my team and try to take out the remaining ships north of the 2 islands. But then I noticed that the Seattle is actually going through the channel. So I'm going to do something novel that doesn't happen very often in a Musashi. I am going to set up an ambush. I know where he's going. He's going to sea, which he assumes is completely abandoned, and I'm going to surprise him, or at least I'm going to try, unless he, you know, kicks off his hydro or kicks off his radar and he spots me, and, you know, the jig is up. But still, I should have enough firepower to well, make him brown his pants, shall we say. So it's only a matter of time before he shows up. I considered launching my spotter plane, but then I realized that would just give away my position. And now I'm detected, and there he is, right on time. His guns are pointed this way, but I seriously doubt he expected to see me. I do 2 citadels, and I don't quite kill him with my first salvo. So I begin to turn. There's no fear of torpedoes from a Seattle, so I can basically expose my broadside. He only has 6-inch guns, so he can't do that much damage to me. Fire another shot, and all those shells go wide. Two of them actually bounce off of his good angled armor. And my rear turret is just about ready to fire. I have two fires on me now, so I quickly put them out. My rear gun is ready, shots out, and that finishes him, and that gives me kill number 2. So that was pretty satisfying, because you don't often get to ambush enemy ships in a Musashi. And to add insult to injury, I'm take a shot at the Massachusetts from 20 kilometers away through the channel, and maybe I can take this guy out. Oh, but it's not to be. I only get one overpen. And it looks like the game is likely going to end before I get another shot off. But that was a pretty fun game, and I hope I've shown that aggression into a cap does work if you have an advantage. Also, the Musashi is quite capable of pulling off some interesting ambushes if you can predict the enemy's moves. So I hope you enjoyed that battle, and thank you very much for watching.